down 83% in 2022. Is Twilio stock a buy for 2023? I'm going to answer that question in this video, so stay tuned. The first thing I'm going to look at is Twilio's revenue growth over the years. And you're going to see two things here. Number one is that it's got very healthy revenue growth. I mean, beginning 2018, it went upwards of 75%. But even as it has decelerated, look at this. This is growth of 45%, 60%. And even as it has fallen, in its most recent quarter, revenue was still up 32.8% year over year. Now, the troubling thing that came out of Twilio recently in the last few months was management stating that they no longer believe that they can grow revenue over 30% for the long term. They had very often stated that that was a realistic long-term target for north of 30% revenue growth. Now they took that statement back, saying it's unrealistic. That is troubling, and the stock actually crashed like 20% in the days following that announcement a couple of months ago. So investors cannot reasonably expect Twilio to grow north of 30% for the long term, according to what Twilio management had to say. The next thing I want to look at is Twilio's net income, because I'm seeing very healthy revenue growth. Is that leading to economies in scale? Is that leading to growing profits? And the answer is no. As Twilio's revenue has grown, its losses are worsening. So the more revenue it brings in, the more money it loses on the bottom line. This is not what I like to see from an investment. In its most recent quarter, it lost 482 million. And I want to confirm that negative trend in the cash flow from operations. And I do see that as it made more revenue, its cash flow from operations got worse as well. And this is especially troubling for a tech stock, because tech companies typically are able to offset some cash flow losses by paying their employees in stock-based compensation. So even though they lose money on the bottom line, they're able to generate positive cash flow. Not the case for Twilio recently. And finally, I want to look at Twilio's valuation. Since it's not profitable on the bottom line and it's not consistently generating free cash flow, I chose to use the price to sales ratio to value the company. And it's trading at a price to sales of 2.2, the lowest it has been going all the way back to 2018. So relatively speaking, this is the cheapest you've been able to buy Twilio stock for. But at the same time, it's also at a scenario with the highest risk that Twilio has seen going back in all this time, right? Um, Enterprises are fearful of an oncoming recession, so they have started decreasing capital investment budgets, and Twilio mostly works with enterprises trying to reduce their customer servicing costs. And if enterprises are facing a recession and fearing falling profits, they're going to hold off on contracting Twilio for their services. So this is not good news for Twilio in that regard. And then on top of that, with management saying that taking down their long-term growth target of north of 30% and not replacing it with something else, that leaves a lot of uncertainty. They took down the 30% target and they didn't say, okay, it's going to be 25% or north of 20%. They just left investors kind of wondering, okay, how low is it going to be? It's not going to be north of 30%. Is it going to be 25%? Is it going to be 20%? Now, the industry that Twilio operates in is expected to grow at a compound annual rate for 30% over the next decade, right? So if Twilio is not growing at least 30%, that means it's losing market share in the industry. Others are taking more market share, which is a troubling sign for Twilio stock investors. So all things considered, to answer the question, is Twilio stock a buy for 2023? I'm going to say no, it's not a buy for 2023. Enterprises are turning cautious. They're reducing capital investments. That's not going to be good news for Twilio stock in 2023. So I would not be a buyer at these valuations. That's all I've got for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.